We'll just continue. Hamzat, thank you. We'll just continue, then others will join us. So I am one of the data analysts and facilitators in Data 𝐵𝐔𝐘𝐒 Global Academy, and I base in Ibadan. And I also want to know about others that are in this call. So to introduce yourself, you just go to the chat box, just put your name there and the place where you are joining us from. I can see 𝐷𝐿𝐿 Esther, you said namaste. Are you from India? So just go to the chat box, put your name there, tell us where you are from so that we can know those are on the call. So I have 𝐷𝐿𝐿 Esther from India, I believe so. With the namaste, namaste back to you. Then we have Aminu from Nigeria. Yes, we're in Nigeria. Then we have Umar from Pakistan. Wow. Then we have Bala from Kaduna. You are welcome. Hamzat Ridwan from Abeokuta, Nigeria. You are welcome. Chinenye from Port Harcourt. You are welcome. Aminu from Lagos. Okay, Aminu, you are from Lagos. All right. Mary from Lagos. All right, you are welcome. 𝐷𝐿𝐿, you are from Abia, not from India. Oh, I get now. 𝐂𝐎𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐒, you didn't put your location. I want to know where you are joining us from. Peter Ogunkola, you are joining us from Oshogbo. You are welcome, sir. Lillian from Lagos. Okay. Catherine, okay, it's Catherine, not Cutlery, all right. So Catherine from Kogi, all right, thank you so much. Aladi from Lagos, okay. You're welcome, everyone. My boss just joined the call. Mr. Ayodeji Salami, you are welcome, sir.
Chief Alpha now. Good evening, boss.
I am fine, sir. So just go to yes, I'm fine, sir. Go to the chat box and tell us where you are joining us from. We have 1 minute left to do that. Okay, Mr. Ayodeji is joining us from Lagos. You are welcome, sir. Chinaza from Ebonyi. You are welcome. All right. Let's start. Let's go straight to the reason why we are here. We are here for the Microsoft Fabric Masterclass, and it is being organized by 𝐷𝐿𝐿𝐿E's Global Academy. So the first thing, we have to give honor to who honor is due. We have to know about the company first before we start going to the next thing in our agenda. So I will just quickly go through the bio of our company. So 𝐷𝐿𝐿E's Analytics Global Limited, about us. We are a community of highly skilled data analysts who have gained expertise and mastery in the technical and leadership skill needed to drive in the data analytics industry. We are focused on mentoring aspiring data professionals who want to gain mastery in the data analytics tools, techniques, and technology. And we believe in setting actionable learning goals while we hold you accountable to ensure your learning goals are achieved. So in summary, our Global Limited deals with training students, training individuals, training businessmen and women that are in the data analytics industry, that are looking into improving their businesses and all that. And also those that are willing to learn more about data analytics. That is what we do. That is what we are known for. So one of the classes or one of the tools that we train people on is Microsoft Fabric. And this masterclass will be like an introduction to what Microsoft Fabric is all about. So we'll be able to know what Microsoft Office is all about. Maybe you have questions before about Microsoft Office Fabric. Maybe you don't really understand what it is all about, or you want to know more. This masterclass is what will expose you more to what we are dealing with when we talk about Microsoft Fabric. Nobody clap for me. Thank you, 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾. So after we have introduced ourselves, I believe our host is here. I believe our guest rather is here. 𝐂𝐍𝐉𝐻𝐾 is our guest here. Is our guest on the call?
Yes, please, he's on the call.
All right. So let me give you a breakdown of our guests so that you know that we have caught a big fish that is going to take us tonight. Our guest name is 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 Ajala, and coming. Our guest name is 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 Ajala, and is also a data analyst. Mr. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿, can you just say hi before I give more introduction about you, sir?
Yeah, okay. Good evening, Simon. Okay. How are you doing?
Yes, good evening, sir. So Mr. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 is a Microsoft certified business intelligence analyst. He's a Power BI developer, and is a corporate trainer also. Presently, he works with Blue Chip Technologies here in Lagos, Nigeria. And he has a passion for business, and is equipped with a degree in business administration. He's passionate about career development, leadership, entrepreneurship, and continuous professional growth, especially in the areas of business management, data analysis, human resource management, and product design. And he has a background in business management and data analytics, and is committed to helping organizations achieve their corporate goals and objectives. He thrives in collaborating with teams and stakeholders to drive growth and innovation and success. Can you please join me tonight, this wonderful night, when we are having our Microsoft Fabric Masterclass, to welcome Mr. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿 Ajala.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much, Simon, for that wonderful introduction. And thank you to Data 𝐿𝐿𝐿 for the invitation to come and do this tonight.
Mr. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿, the last time I met you, I don't know if you still remember my face.
I'm not sure whether I can remember your face.
That was in University of Ibadan.
Oh,
for the Power Platform or so.
Oh, I didn't know I met you actually.
Yes, I was there. So I'll give the floor. Thank you, everyone. I'll give the floor for Mr. 𝐿𝐿𝐿𝐿. Then after he's through with us, any question we have, then we'll come to that aspect. So you have the floor, sir.
All right, thank you very much once again, Simon, and thank you for Data Elite for bringing me up to do this. It's one of the things that I love to do. Please, can you confirm you can hear me clearly?
I
And
can hear you very well, sir.
all right, thank you very much. Okay.
Loud and
Okay.
clear.
All right, thank you. Okay, so we won't be doing much introduction or more roaming about because today's session is full loaded and is more of a demo to showcase Microsoft Fabric. I'm very sure that a lot of us here might be wondering what is Microsoft Fabric, or maybe this is the first time you are hearing Microsoft Fabric. It is not something new entirely. It is just, let me just say, it is just a new name that Microsoft is, giving their existing product. So it is not totally entirely new. So, but this section, I don't know. I would like it to be more a little bit interactive because I always like to get feedback from the students, and I don't want people to sleep off because I know it's already getting late here in Nigeria, and I don't know of people in other country that join us, but I don't want people to be sleeping. So let's shine our eyes and let's make it interactive section. Okay, so before we continue to this section, I want to ask us, you can do a thumb up or drop a chat. If you know Power BI, can you thumb up or just drop a chat that you know Power BI? Okay, I think Redman, Pasterat. Okay, so if you know SQL, can you thumb up or just drop a chat? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay. I think a lot of people know SQL as well. If you know which other tools, if you are familiar with Azure, Microsoft Azure, if you're familiar with Microsoft Azure, can you thumb up? Let me see reaction. Microsoft Azure. Okay, I think very few people familiar with that. Okay, okay, I think I can see some people. Yeah. Okay, so it's good that a lot of us here, we are very familiar with some of these tools that I mentioned, Power BI, SQL, and we're also familiar with Microsoft Azure. So it is not, like I said, Microsoft Fabric is not something new entirely. Okay, someone said that he's not familiar with Azure. Okay, it's fine. It's fine. Azure is just the cloud solution, cloud platform for Microsoft, where you can do work on the cloud instead of using your system, cloud computing, like Ayodele said. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so now, why Microsoft Fabric? What are we doing today? So I'm going to share my screen, but let's first talk about why Microsoft Fabric and what exactly is the masterclass all about. What is the glamour around Microsoft Fabric? Why is it the next things to learn, right? So now what Microsoft does is that they thought about, okay, we have data engineering, we have data engineer, we have data scientist, and we have data analyst. All of them, we work mostly in silo. What I mean by silo is that we work individually. Data analysts work with Power BI desktop. Once they are done, they publish their work to the Power BI service. Data engineer as well. They also work, with some of their tools, in a separate environment as well. Data scientists as well. They also work, build their model, do their machine learning in a separate environment. Now, what Microsoft does is that, okay, is there a way we can bring all these three, professionals? Can we bring them together on a single platform that, okay, instead of we having, different environment we are working, let's create an environment where all these three professionals can work together and collaborate, right? So that is what actually brought in Microsoft Fabric. It's majorly for collaboration. It's like a one place where everybody can collaborate and do their work efficiently. Understand? And with the introduction of Microsoft Fabric since last year May, there's a lot of let me say capability that Microsoft Fabric can actually do. You can write Python inside Microsoft Fabric. You can write Power BI DAX inside Microsoft Fabric. You can write, SQL inside the Power BI, inside the Microsoft Fabric. So you can even do machine learning, a lot of things that you can do on the environment. So we'll be looking at one or two things that the Microsoft Fabric capability, can do for us. And I believe that at the end of today's section, we will have gained one or two things around the Microsoft Fabric. Anyway, so what we're going to be doing today is one of the projects that I have done before, right? So I'm bringing it up here again to demonstrate the project that I do with Microsoft Fabric, to us here in Data Elite, to see how Microsoft Fabric works. So let me quickly share my screen and let's quickly run through our agenda for today. Please confirm you can see my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Can you confirm you can see my screen?
Yes, we can.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so today, like I said, this is one of the projects that I've done in the past, and we are going to see how Microsoft Fabric, we can use it to do an end-to-end project. We'll talk about, the lake house. We'll talk about, how to do pipeline, create a pipeline, and how to ingest data with what we have known before, which is Power Query, or what we call data flow Gen 2 now on the Fabric environment. We also use a shortcut, how you can connect to a shortcut. Maybe you have a data from Azure environment, or from the AWS environment, or from Google Cloud. We'll see how we can create a shortcut from all this data connection. So this is the architecture of the work or the project that we'll be going through. This is just connecting data from different sources. Then we have a one hub, or what we call the one lake in Microsoft Fabric environment. The one lake is where we are going to be putting in all our data, and from there we'll create a data modeling, then we'll create Power BI report. So our implementation and roadmap is to first set up the lakehouse. We are going to do data injection, create our data modeling, and create Power BI report within the Microsoft Fabric environment. And like I said, Microsoft Fabric is a unified environment where data engineer, data analyst, data scientists, they can work efficiently. So like I said earlier, we are going to create a lakehouse, which is a centralized platform. And one of the benefits of the lakehouse is that it's very scalable. It is a unified data access where all across the professionals, you can get your data from that. So like I said, I've already mentioned all this. We'll talk about data modeling as well, how you can create modeling. You can even do partitioning, incremental processing. You can do, you can do incremental loading within the Microsoft Fabric environment as well. So you can see that it is very, very efficient, when it comes to the modern data analysis tools today. So Power BI report for people that are coming from the Power BI background. So we are also going to look at how you can create a very simple Power BI report within the Fabric environment. Also, what is the benefit of this solution? So what is the benefits of Microsoft Fabric? Number one, it is a centralized data platform. Number two, it improves data quality. A lot of companies are talking about data governance, data quality nowadays. So Microsoft Fabric, is actually helps to improve data quality. Scalable, is very scalable and is also data driven. We have more functions and benefits of this solution that we'll look at. Then at the end of the day, we'll look at question and answer. I hope we are enjoying the session already. So without wasting much of our time, let's dive into the practical part of it. Let's go into the practical section of it. Okay, please, can you confirm you can still hear me clearly? And you can see my screen as well.
Yes,
I can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, I hope I'm not too fast. Just to confirm, I'm not too fast. I hope I'm not too fast.
You're not.
Yeah, okay with you, sir.
All right, okay, thank you. Okay, now for those of us that this is our very first time of coming to this type of environment, maybe you are very new to this environment, you have not been to Power BI or Microsoft Fabric environment. Now, what are the things that you need before you can start creating anything within the Microsoft Fabric environment? Number one thing that you first need is that you need a license, right? You need a Fabric license to be able to do anything on the Microsoft Fabric environment. So you need Fabric license. Like I said, you have to either, I think you can create a free account, just to demonstrate, to practice, what you want to learn within it. Or if you are working with an organization that has a Fabric subscription, you can tell your IT team or your IT admin to enable Microsoft Fabric for you to be able to demonstrate this. So currently, I have a developer account that I use, which I got from Microsoft. So I use it for most of my development here. So the first thing that we need to do, and I think I always encourage everybody that when you are starting a new project, the first thing to do is to always create a new workspace. So let's create a new workspace which we are going to use to do our project development, our end-to-end project. So I'm going to click on new workspace. Okay, so sorry, before I go on to the new workspace, let me first show you the Microsoft Fabric experience that we're talking about. When you go to your left-hand side, at the bottom left here, you will see, when you click on the Power BI icon that we have here, you will see this experience that we are talking about, right? We have the Power BI, the data factory. If you are familiar with Azure before, so the data factory is just like ADF, which is the Azure Data Factory within the Microsoft Azure environment. So we have the data factory, the data activator that you can use for setting alerts and all. We have the real-time intelligence. We have the data engineering. Like I said, Microsoft Fabric, is a tool that comprises of different professionals together working. So if you're a data engineer, this is a good platform where you can, collaborate and work as well. Data science, for people that do modeling, do predictive, analysis, you can also build your experience within the data science environment or experience. Data warehouse, for people, so some of us that are very familiar with SQL or 𝐇𝐎𝐏𝐄, that the way we call it in Microsoft. So, you can also demonstrate your skill within the Microsoft Fabric environment. So it is not totally new, I believe, from some of us here. So now let's start by creating our workspace, which we are going to use to demonstrate this project. So let's create a new workspace. So I'll call my workspace data 𝐿𝐿. I believe we are the 𝐿𝐿 here. So I'll call the workspace data 𝐿𝐿. Now, when you are setting up your workspace, you need to assign a license to it. You need to assign a license to it. So you can see now that we have the pro license, the trial license, So currently, the trial license is the one that is having the Fabric activation on it. So currently, maybe if you are working in an organization that does not have Fabric license, you can just make use of the trial, or you can also create an account, a free trial account to set it up. So I'm going to so the semantic model storage format. So depending on how large your data is, if you are working with a data that is, is above 500 billion, the data are very large, so you can decide to choose the large semantic model. And if you are working with a small data, maybe your data is not that large in your organization, you can work with the small semantic model storage format. But let's just go with the large semantic model, even though our data is not large. But let's just pretend as if that, we are in a big organization. So, okay, so I'll click on the apply to apply. So once I apply, we are creating our workspace already. So now this is our workspace. So you can see now our workspace is what data 𝐿𝐿, right? So, and you can see that there's nothing inside the workspace at the moment. You can see there's nothing here yet. We don't have anything within the within our workspace. So now we want to start creating, start our project. So let's go back to our architecture. So let's see from our architecture, let's see how our architecture look like. So in our architecture, there's one thing that is important to us here, which is the lakehouse, because all the data that we are going to be ingesting inside our architecture is landing on the lakehouse, right? Is landing inside the lakehouse. So we need to first create the lakehouse, right? We need to create the lakehouse first. So let's see how we can create a lakehouse within the Microsoft Fabric environment. You can create it in different dimension, but let's switch our experience. Let's switch from the Power BI and let's switch to the data engineering experience. So from the data engineering experience, you can see a lot of different tools or different techniques that we have here, right? We have the event analytics, the medallion. If you know medallion architecture, where we talk about the bronze layer, the silver layer, and the gold layer. So you can also go through all this, when you are trying to practice as well. But the most important things that we want to do here is to create a lakehouse. So what is a lakehouse? A lakehouse is okay, so let me just use this. So let's create a lakehouse first, then I will explain what a lakehouse is. Let's create. So let's create our lakehouse. Okay, so now we have our lakehouse. Now, what is a lakehouse? A lakehouse is a combination of two concepts, which is the warehouse and the data lake. So let me hear from us. Can anybody tell us, for people that have experience with Azure, with Power BI, with warehouse, and all. So let's hear from us, what is the difference between data lake and data lake and warehouse. So let hear from. I need someone or people that can, tell us the difference between the
Sorry,
two.
you said data lake and a data warehouse, right?
Yes, what is different between both of them?
Okay, so I will just speak to data warehouse. I know a
Okay.
data warehouse is a copy of the database itself. That is the transactional system that the data uh, writes into. I mean, for example, you have an e-commerce application. You created a backend database that all the data that comes in. So when the customer signs up on the application, when they start buying stuff on the application, everything goes into the database. But you cannot be reading at the same place you are writing, right? Because that database is going to crash. So we create data warehouses as a copy of the database that we perform ETL on, and that will serve as that works for analytical purposes. That is, we can start analyzing our data from the warehouse now, and not from the original database that was created. But for data lake, I don't know, but that's my understanding of the data warehouse. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, well, there is a particular keyword I'm looking for a particular keyword. So anybody that can explain a data lake for us, data lake.
Yes.
Yeah, okay,
good evening.
Yeah, good evening, Mr. Paul.
Yes, we can say a data lake is a storage that can actually house structured and unstructured data. If I'm right,
Okay.
That's what comes to my mind.
Okay, yeah, thank you very much. Because of time, let's go with these two definitions. Mr. Gbenga have explained what a warehouse is to us, and Mr. Paul also briefly explained what a data lake is to us. But let's just point out the differences between them in one word, right? A warehouse or data warehouse or database as well, because they are almost the same thing. Database, data warehouse, we use them sometimes interchangeable, right? Now, data warehouse contains only structured data. What did I say? Data warehouse or database, it contains only structured data, while the data lake contains unstructured data, and it can also contain structured data. So what did I mean by structured data and unstructured data is that, for example, you cannot load an audio or a video into a database or a warehouse. Please, I hope I'm right. You cannot load a video content or an audio content into a database or a warehouse. But when it comes to the data lake, you can load any sort of file, whether it is structured, whether it is unstructured, JSON file. You cannot load a JSON file into a database or a JSON file into a warehouse, but you can load a JSON file into what? Into the data lake, right? Now, what brought in lake house is what? So what is a lake house? I said a lake house is what? Is a combination of data warehouse and a data lake. Now, let's see how it is being, how these terminologies comes in the Microsoft Fabric environment. So let's go back to our lake house. Now, when I say lake house is a combination of both elements or components. Now, let's see. We have two sections in our lake house, which is what? The table section and the file section. Now, this table section can only contain a structured data. And when I mean structured data, I'm talking about rows and columns, just like your Excel, right? That is what I'm talking. That's what we, let's just say it like, ABCD, right? Okay. Very simple. I'm sorry, please, if you are not speaking, if you are not, just mute your mic so that it will not distract us. Now, the file section, this file section that we have here, this is an example of your data lake, because why? It can contain an unstructured data. So now when we say a lake house is a combination of the warehouse and the data lake, is because the file section here, it's just like your normal OneDrive. You can upload a video into your OneDrive. You can upload an audio into your OneDrive. You can upload a JSON file into your OneDrive. But your table structure here, section here, it will never accept all those type of files. I hope we have understand the concept between the data lake and the lake house and the warehouse now. I hope we are clear on that. Are we clear? Are we clear?
It's clear.
Yeah.
It's clear.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Now, we have explained the lake house, and lake house is just like a one all. It's like a house that house everything. You have your bed in the lake house, you have your TV in the lake house, you have your toilet in the lake house. Anything you want to take, you can go and take it in the lake house, right? Now, what we are trying to explain here too is that anything you want to do within the Microsoft Fabric environment, lake house is where we are storing everything. The data scientists, they need a data, they will come to the lake house. Data engineer, they need to do anything, they also come to the lake house to do it. Data analysts, they also need anything, they also come to the lake house to also do what they want. So the lake house is just like your one place or one hub to go to pick your data from. So now how do we get data into the lake house? We have about 5 different ways which we can connect data into the warehouse. So we have, if I click on the get data, we have the upload file, we have the new data pipeline, which is our data flow gen 2, or sorry, the data flow, or data factory rather. Then we also have the data flow gen 2. Data flow gen 2 should not be new to some of us that are coming from Power BI background or Excel background, right? Data flow gen 2 is also the same thing as Power Query. So don't mind Microsoft too. Instead of them to say Power Query, they call it data flow gen 2. They want to scatter our head, but don't worry. So we also have the new shortcuts. So shortcut is like we are mirroring data. We are not bringing the data into Fabric. So we have a data in AWS. AWS is another cloud solution. It's a platform on its own. Now, what we just want to do is that the data in AWS, we only want to copy, we only want to create a shortcut to it into Microsoft Fabric. The data is not coming inside Fabric at all. I don't know how I will explain it. Someone is in Abuja, right? And you as another person, okay, someone is in Abuja, but you don't want the person to move to Abuja, to Lagos. You want to find a way you can create a shortcut for the person to be in Lagos. So how do we do it? probably we will do a virtual call like the way we are doing it now. So the person will just be as if that is in Lagos, but he's not in, he's not in Lagos. So that's the same thing with shortcut. Shortcut is like there is a data in a database or in another environment. We are just creating a shortcut to it into the Microsoft Fabric environment. I hope you understand those concepts. We also have the event stream. Event stream is like a real-time analysis. If you want to do a real-time analysis, like you want to do forecasting, you want to do IoT, Internet of Things, you want to do, want to create some real-time analysis. You can also use the event stream to do that. But for our demo tonight, we'll just look at these four way of getting it. So let's start with the shortcut first. So let's start with shortcut. Now, to ingest data using the shortcut, I will click on new shortcut, definitely. Now, like I said earlier, you can connect to external sources. What are external sources? External sources means that the sources are not within the Microsoft Fabric environment, or they might even not be within the Microsoft ecosystem, right? AW3, Amazon S3 is not within the Microsoft ecosystem. Google Cloud is not within the within the Microsoft ecosystem. Is another environment on their own. So you can connect data to create a shortcut. So for example, now maybe your organization, they say that we have Amazon AW3, that we have a data source there already. Now someone is now introducing your company to Microsoft Fabric. Now you are now wondering that, are we now going to be moving data from AW3 to Fabric because of the new infrastructure? You don't need to stress yourself, right? The only thing you just need to do is that tell your organization, within the Microsoft Fabric environment, we can create a shortcut. We don't need to migrate the data. Let's just create a shortcut between these two infrastructure, right? But the only problem is just that maybe in terms of costing and all, right? I don't know how the costing in AW3 or Amazon is. So everybody might want to say, okay, let's just choose a simplified platform instead of creating shortcut. But if you still want to maintain the existing database, you can create a shortcut with it. So, but in our class today, we will just use the internal source, which is the Microsoft OneLake. Now, before I create the shortcut, let me quickly show us something. I have another workspace. In another workspace, I have a warehouse there. This is the warehouse. Can you see? Is another warehouse sitting down in another workspace. So this workspace now, let's assume that this is another is AW3. Is another environment totally that this warehouse is sitting down. Now I want to create a shortcut from my new workspace into this warehouse. So let's go back to our lake house. So let's go back to our lake house. Then I'll click on get data. Let's click new shortcuts. Microsoft OneLake. So now, like I said, I'm going to create a shortcut. Let's see how the shortcut is. So my projects, let's look for the workspace. Where is the workspace? Okay, my project then is supposed to be a warehouse. Okay, coming. Do we have any warehouse here? Okay, so this is it. So this is the warehouse. Can you see? It is in another location. My project. Don't forget that the workspace that we are working with currently is the what? Is the data elite. Now you can see that this particular location that we want to connect to is in another location. So I'm going to click here. Is a warehouse. Let's click on it. Then I'll click on next. Now let's see the underlying table there. So let's click the drop down. No, can you see the data now? So let's just click here. Then I'll click on next. Then let's create. So now, when I say we are creating a shortcut, what am I saying? What I'm saying in essence is that we are only creating a shortcut to this lakehouse. If anything happens in the underlying database, it's going to affect this data, right? What I'm saying is that if I go to the warehouse, to the original warehouse, and I do anything there, it's going to affect this data that we have here. It's going to affect the data because we did not bring in the data into the lakehouse. We only create a shortcut into the lakehouse. I hope you understand the concept of the lakehouse, of the shortcut now. So because of time, let's move on because we have a lot of, so this is the data that we create a shortcut into. So we are not doing data cleaning, this data is, is a kind of messy. So, but you can still do your data cleaning if you want to do data cleaning, or you can even do it before you bring in the data into the lakehouse as well. So let's continue with our injection, with data injection. So let's look at pipeline, how you can bring in data using the pipeline. So let's go back to our architecture to see the file that we are bringing in through the pipeline. Okay, the other details. Okay. I need to open my SSMS. Okay, so now for the pipeline, let's create our pipeline name. So let's call it WWI order details. So let's create a pipeline. So pipeline is like ADF, that is Azure Data Factory, right? So it's just like the ADF. So if you are familiar with Azure, this should not be a problem to you. So let's create a connection. So okay, let me leave this at the moment. Okay, so now for us to connect to using the pipeline, you can connect to any data source, right? Whether they are both on-prem or they are on the cloud, right? You can connect to any data source. You can see that Microsoft has provided a lot of data source that you can connect to Azure, other services. You can connect to a lot of data source. Even the one that are not within the Microsoft ecosystem as well, you can also connect to them. So, but right now, using our data, our pipeline, we are going to be connecting to an on-premises database, right? So I'm going to be using SSMS. If you are using a cloud solution like maybe Azure SQL or Azure PostgreSQL, you can also connect to all those environments as well. You can connect to all those ones as well, right? So but in this our project, we'll be connecting to Azure to SSMS. I believe for some of us that know SQL very well, we are familiar with SSMS. But let me say something in case you want to try this project out. Before you connect to SSMS, make sure that you download Gateway. So you connect your Gateway to your Fabric account, because without the Gateway, you won't be able to migrate the data from your on-premises environment to the cloud environment. So please make sure that you download Gateway before you start implementing your solution. Okay, so now let's connect to SQL Server database. So we're going to click on SQL Server database, then we'll provide the credential. So let me provide my credential. Let me provide my credential. Database. Okay, database is optional. So create a new connection. Yeah, connection name. So let's name our connection name WWI order. Let's see, order demo. So this is our connection name. Please let's pay attention to this connection name. Now, data gateway. I'm going to use my gateway because I have a gateway installed on this my system. So this is the gateway, follow on short gateway. So I'm going to connect to it. Then I will use my window authenticator. So I need to provide my username. So provide my username. Okay, so let's connect. So let's create a connection now. Let's create a connection. Please, I hope you are following. I hope you are following.
Very interesting.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So let's try and create connection. Sometimes it might be slow, maybe because of your network, depending on how fast your internet is as well. So, okay. I think something happened. Okay. So something happened here. In case you also experience the same thing, right? I really did not know why this happened, but when you observe that this happened, so the reason why I have to go through this place is that I need to create a connection name. So that is the reason why I know that I'm going to experience this issue. So, but I need to create a connection name. So that is the reason why I have to come here. So when you observe this issue, just click on cancel. So yes, you cancel it. Then when you cancel it, it will take you back to your pipeline. We are trying to connect to a pipeline, right? So now I'm going to click on copy data. So I will use the add to canvas, right? I will use the add to canvas. So now let's copy the data using this method now. So now this is your general. You can rename the pipeline. You can rename the copy data name. So let's call it 𝐷𝐻 order. That's okay. So you can just give it any name. Can you see? Now your source. So what is source? Source is that where are you bringing the data from? That is source. When you hear source is what in Azure environment, you hear something like what they even call it in the Azure environment. They call it something similar, but it might not be. I think it's source and sink or something. So it's still very similar. So you click on the source, then you go to sink. Source and sink, exactly. So you will see that the environment is not something entirely new. So now you will see your source. Now we want to connect to the source, right? Let's click on more. So let's click on more. Now the connection that I created earlier. So I should be able to see the connection here now. So it's loading. Okay, so let me check the connection that I created earlier. Hope is here. Coming. The connection is okay. I'm coming. Okay, so let's click on view more. Let me see if to show. Okay, so I've seen the connection. So can you see this is the connection that we created earlier when we are trying to create the connection, but it didn't go. So so let's click on this connection. So let's click on it. So let's click on it and I guess my network is a bit slow. Okay, so we have created a connection with our data source, which is our SQL server. So now what is connection type? Our connection type is what? SQL server. Like I said, your own can be any other server. So we can test our connection. So you can test your connection. Okay. So let's test the connection. Can you say connection successful? So now our database. So what is our database? Now our database here. So let me show you let's quickly look at the data here. So let's quickly look at the data here so that we can see what we are trying to achieve. So what we are trying to achieve is that we want to bring in this data from here. This is the data we are trying to connect to. We want to take it to our, to our SQL, to our Azure, to our Fabric environment. So we have created this thing. So it's a table. So the database, we need to select the database. So our database is what? This is the database name. Table. Okay, is a table. Then, so this is the table name. So let's preview the data. So you can preview the data. You can preview the data as well. So let's check. Can you see? Can you see that it's exactly the way it is in our SSMS? We are also seeing it here as well. So you can preview the data. So now, okay. So let's go back to our Fabric. So let me cancel this. Okay, so now let's go to destination. Now our destination is what? Who can tell us where our destination is? What is our destination?
The lakehouse we created.
Yeah, the lakehouse that we created. So this is the lakehouse, and please be mindful of the location of the lakehouse as well, because you can see that we have multiple lakehouse here. So make sure that it is the project that you are working on that you pick. So let's pick the lakehouse. So we have picked the lakehouse. Can you see lakehouse? Now, root folder is what? Is a table, right? The root folder is a table. Now, the root folder does not, we do not have any table that we want to go and load this data into. So, okay, so let's pick this. Okay. No. Now, this is what I want to try to explain. If I pick this fat orders is different from the order details table. So you cannot pick this fat order. You have to create a new table for it. So let's click on new, cancel. Let me remove this one. Then let's click on new order. So let's call this _orders. So now let's create it. So let's create this one. So now this is the new table that we are picking it. So www.orders details. So this is the new table. Okay, so now we have created the connection. Then we have tell it to load to the destination, which is the lakehouse, and the table will be called www.orders table. So now let's save. So let's save our connection. So you just click on the save button on your left. So we have saved. And okay, so the next thing to do now is that let's validate. So let's validate. So your pipeline has been validated, no errors and all. Okay, so now let's try and run the pipeline. So let's try to run the pipeline and see. Let's try to run the pipeline and see the results. Okay, so the pipeline is running. So while the pipeline is running, do we have any question? Why the pipeline is running? Do we have any question? Any question from anyone while the pipeline is running? Are we still following? This class is so silent.
Yes. Hello, sir. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, good evening. I can hear you.
We are following on.
All right. Okay.
The sections have been very insightful so far, but I noticed that among the sources that you listed, that is
Yes.
applicable to get data from, you didn't mention Excel. Does it mean Fabric does not work with Excel, or?
Okay, we're still going to use Excel, so we'll still get to that.
Okay.
We'll still get to that point. So, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Right. Okay. I know a lot of people coming from Power BI. We definitely want to see how Excel will come in. So yeah, I understand. So okay, so the pipeline is still running. If you have questions, please you can ask so that we will. So while the pipeline is still running,
Mr. Akolo, I have a question.
Okay, please.
On this Fabric platform, is it possible to limit the section at which one can go to? For example, if I'm a data analyst, I should only see the Power BI section of the Fabric platform. Or if I'm a data engineer, I should be able to see only data engineering part. Is it possible like that? Or are there like any kind of measures to put in place for some kind of restrictions to say, oh wait, you can, even though you can see some parts, but you can't do anything on them?
Yes, yes. So that is where the administration, there's something called admin. So I'm very sure that your admin, your IT or the admin, the fabric admin, right? Whenever they are creating the infrastructure for your company or whichever company you want to work with, they will definitely do some sort of restriction to what each users can see. So because we are using it for development now, you can have all access to all the environment or all the experience. But I'm very sure that on a real-time project, you cannot have access to everything. So I'm very sure that there is a sort of administration, your IT team will definitely give you like a kind of restriction to what you can do. Even within the Power BI, I can decide to give someone a viewer access or give someone a read access or a member access. Viewer access means that you cannot edit the work that I've done. You can only view it. So it's a sort of restriction. So within the Fabric environment as well, I'm sure that that they can also implement that. So you can see now that I hope I've answered your question. Sorry. So you can see that the pipeline is now successful. So now let's go back to our lake house. So let's go back to our lake house. Now in your lake house, you will see that we did not see the pipeline that is successful here. So what you just need to do is to refresh. So let's refresh this table section because we load the data into the table section. So let's refresh it. So let's refresh. Okay, one unidentified item is here. So let's refresh. So can you see now we have the data that we use pipeline to ingest into the fabric, into the lakehouse now. So it's trying to load as well. So you can see the data that we bring in. So like I said, your data can be in any environment. It can be on Azure, right? You can plug it in. It can be on Postgres SQL. It can be on MySQL that you want to use pipeline. You can also use. So now let's move on because of time. I'm trying to watch my time as well. So let's look at data flow gen 2. I think one of the questions that someone asks is that can't we use Excel to bring data? So let's see how we can make use of Excel now through the data flow gen 2. Okay, so now, like I said, data flow gen 2 is just like Power Query in Excel, like Power Query in Power BI, or Power Query in Analysis Service. I believe those are the three places that I've used Power Query: Analysis Service, Excel, and Power BI. So you can see that the data flow gen 2 is also like Power Query Online. So we call it Power Query Online or Data Flow Gen 2 within the Fabric environment. I think Power Query is also in Azure environment too. So I think it's also in Azure, but I've not explored it in Azure environment before. So now you can bring in data. If you click on Get Data, I'm very sure a lot of us are familiar with this, especially Power BI users. So you can see that you can get data from different sources, SharePoint folder, data flow, just like the way you have it, you can always get data from from different sources. Because of time, we'll just move on. We'll move quickly. So we are going to get data from using Excel workbook. We will use Excel workbook. So the Excel workbook that I'm going to use is on my OneDrive. Is on OneDrive. So I will go to my OneDrive. I'll go to my OneDrive. I will go to, where did I have this data? I think it's on projects. So let me open this. No. So let's open this. Okay, the data set. So let's check. Okay, so we want to bring in I want to bring in the customer data, the product data, and the shipper data. So I will click on this, then I will go to details. You can see that this is an Excel file. So I will click here, then I'm going to copy the path. Can you see this path? I want to copy the link to this, to this Excel file. I'll copy the link. Then let's proceed back to our, our Fabric environment. So I'm going to paste this link here. Now I'm going to click on connection credential. Now, can someone tell me why at this point it's not asking me for gateway? Can anybody tell us the reason why it's not asking? Because when we use SSM the other time, it was asking for gateway, but at the moment it's not asking. So let me hear from someone that can help us out why it's not asking for gateway at this moment. So why is it not asking for gateway?
Has already been established.
Because okay, that's fine. That's take any contrary opinion to why we are not using gateway at this moment. Any person, anybody? Okay, because of time. So let me explain the reason why we are not using gateway. Now, we only use gateway if the data is on your local device. Now, what gateway is doing is to create a connection between the cloud environment and your local system. The Excel file that I'm using at this moment is on the cloud already, because OneDrive is also a cloud base. I hope you understand. OneDrive is also a cloud, is on the cloud. Your Google Drive is a cloud environment. So anything that you are doing within the cloud environment, you don't need gateway again for it. It's only when the data is not within the is not on the cloud. I hope you got that. Okay, so let's create the connection. It's not because I have an existing connection, it's because the data is on the cloud. So let's create let's create the connection. Okay, so this is the file sheet 1. So you can see the data here. So let's create so this will take us to the Power Query back. So you can do your normal transformation, right? So even with with Power Query, you can do transformation within you also can do a sort of transformation. So I'll call this one customer table. So let's call it customer. You can do your normal transformation, use first row as headers. So let's use first row as headers. The way you can normally do it within the Power BI environment as well. So you can do your transformation, remove empty column. If you want to remove, you only do all this transformation based on your business logic, not because of you have to remove it. So, but let's just try and do some sort of data cleaning, and removing column is also one of them. So you can remove column, do your data cleaning within the environment. So let's bring in another data. So let's bring in the customer, the product table. So I will go back to my OneDrive. I will go to my products, go to details. So what I just want to do is just to copy the file paths. I'm not trying to open the file. So let's open the file paths. So copy the file paths, then go back to your, so let's click on, now please, you can also upload. You can upload if your data is on your system. If your data is on your system and you want to upload, you can also upload. You can upload. But the issue there is that when you are trying to upload, right, automatically Fabric is going to upload that data on OneDrive for you, right? Microsoft Fabric is going to automatically upload that data inside your OneDrive, whether it is your organization OneDrive or your personal OneDrive that you are using. It's going to automatically upload that data for you on OneDrive. So at that moment too, you will not need to use gateway at that moment as well. So you can upload data from your local device as well. So let's click on next. Let's click on next. Okay, so sheet 1. Sheet 1. Okay, so let's rename this as products. Okay, so I think this one is fine. This is products, so this is fine. Okay, so let's just work with this. So I believe that with this method, we are able to load data with the data flow. So we can come here to maybe rename your data flow if you want to rename it or anything. So let's just call it products and customer. Okay, and does not accept, so and customer. So let's just call it product and customer. Now, so you can say that our data destination is what? Is the lake house. You can also change the destination. It can be what? It can be a warehouse. You can change it to, you can load this data into a warehouse as well, right? So let's publish it. Once you are done, you publish. So automatically it will load it back into our lake house. So you can see this is the pipeline that we created earlier. This is the lakehouse, and this is the data flow gen 2. You can see these are the object that is being created, underground for us. So it's loading. Can you see that this one is also, when we are creating pipeline, it was processing. So this one too is also processing. You can see that it's processing at the moment. So it's processing. So let's go to the lakehouse. So let's go to the lakehouse. We will check that data later because of time. So let's quickly move on. So this is the last injection. Okay, I think it has successfully loaded. So let's refresh. So let's refresh our table. Let's refresh. Sure. Okay, so you can see customer and product from the data flow gen 2, which is the Power Query. So you can see now that we have loaded this data as well. So now let's look at the last way of getting data into the lakehouse. So we are going to use the file session, which we also call the data lake, which you can use to load your unstructured data and the structured data. So let's create a folder. So let's create a folder. Let's call it ww-hi. Let's just say raw data. So you can give it any name. So let's create. So let's create the raw data. Okay, so now inside the raw data folder, so let's upload. So we are going to, you can upload a folder. You can upload a folder, you can upload the file. So how you want it. So let's go here. Now I'm going to load these two data. They are Excel file as well, but even if they are unstructured data, you can still load them as well. If they are unstructured data, you can still load them in as well. So we have loaded this data now. So let's cancel. Now let's click on this. So you can see the data that we just load, the category and the dates data. So you can see the data. You can see the data. Can you see? So now let's load this data into the table section. This is the file section. This is the table section. So we'll just click on these three. Then we click on load to table. We click on new table. So let's just go on with all this because of time. So let's load the data as well. Okay, because this one is still loading. So okay, still loading. Okay, so now let's load the dates, new table. Okay, let's load it. Okay, it's loading. Okay, so you can see now that we have the categories and the date table inside our table section as well. Let's go back to our architecture and see where we are. Okay, so we can see now that we have loaded all the data from the shortcut, pipeline, data flow gen 2, file session. We have loaded all the data into the lakehouse, right? So now we will now move to what? To data modeling. So let's see how we can model our data within the Fabric environment. Before I proceed, any question? Any question? Let me hear from us before we move on. Any question? Are we sleeping? Let's wake up. Not sleeping. Hope we are not sleeping, Sha. Okay. Well, so if you want to sleep, go and put water on your face. All right. Okay, so let's continue. If there's no question, or let me check the question chat if there's any question.
We still have like 10 hours to go. So everybody open your eyes.
It's fine. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, since there's no question, let's move on. Okay, so now to create our data model, right? So now to create model, we are going to switch from the lakehouse. So on your at the top right here, we are going to switch from the lakehouse to your SQL analytical endpoint. SQL analytical endpoint. So we are going to switch from the lakehouse to SQL analytical endpoint. Okay. So now you can see now from the SQL analytical endpoint, you can write SQL here. So at this point, you can write your SQL, this is your warehouse. So this is your warehouse, you can see. So that's why we call it a combination of warehouse and a data lake. So from your lake house, you can switch to your warehouse as well. So you can see all the data. If you want to write a query, you want to write your select, select all, probably just do a select. So let's just do a simple select. So let me see. Okay. Okay, so let's do. And please, when you are writing SQL within the Fabric environment, you have to be careful because it is case sensitive here. I don't know why, but select all is case sensitive here, but it is not in SSMA. So I don't know why it's happened like that. So you can do your select or you can write your query. And another thing that you can I need to mention here is that in Fabric environment, especially within the SQL analytical endpoint, there are some certain things that you can do and you cannot do. You cannot do data manipulation within the SQL analytical endpoint. You can't do manipulation. What I mean by manipulation is that you cannot alter table. You cannot, I'm not sure you can delete as well. I'm not really sure whether you can delete. You cannot do some certain things within the analytical endpoint. But if you go to the warehouse, there is another warehouse where you can do all the manipulation. You can create table, you can add column, you can do all those sort of SQL things that you can do within the SQL. But within the analytical endpoint here, you cannot manipulate. You cannot manipulate. I think what this analytical endpoint is majorly for is to query. Is majorly for. So this part is majorly for data analysts. This analytical endpoint is majorly for data analysts, not for not for manipulation and all. Okay, so let's so we have quickly seen one example of how you can run your query and you can do more than this within here. So the most important thing that what we want to do here is to create a model. So let's see how we can create our data model. Let's see how we can create our data model. There are a lot of functionalities. You can even save your scripts. You can see your script that you wrote. You can save your script. You will see it here, and there's a lot of things that you can also do within this environment as well. So now let's click on model layout. So when you click on the model layout at the top, you should be able to see your your model view. I'm very sure now for people coming from Power BI, this is something that we are very familiar with, where you can create your model and all. But let's create our model ourselves. I'm not going to use this default model layout. So I'm going to click on the reporting tab at the top. So I will click on use a new semantic model. So let's click on new semantic model. So this is our search. So let's just say select all. There is something I need to do here. Okay. So let's select. Okay.
You have to enter a name, so semantic model name.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I didn't see that. Okay, thank you for that. So let's call it let's call it, what should we call the name, Seth? Let's just call it 𝐊𝐶𝐻 semantic model. Okay, so let's call this. Okay, so now let's confirm. So this is our semantic model. Okay, so it's creating already. So let's just wait. Please, if you have question, you can ask question at this moment. Okay, so our semantic model has been created. Okay, so now what we are going to do next is that, so how do we, okay, so let's just go back to our schema. We go to our schema. So now from this, we want to load these tables into our model. So I'll click on this customer. I will click on insert to canvas. Okay. There's a problem. There's something that I want this thing to do that is not doing. Let me see. Okay, let me check something here. Okay. There's something that I want it to do here, which I won't be able to do if I continue. I won't be able to create measures, which is using DAX to create measures. So let me remove this. I think there's something I need to do. So let me click on manage defaults first. Let me see. Manage defaults. So let's confirm this. Maybe this will bring it out. So I need the option, and because I want to be able to create measures. So I want to be able to create measures. So let's see. Let me see if I can create, if the option come out. Select column. The option did not come out yet. Okay. Let me remove. So let's recreate this again. Let's recreate this. So select all. So let's confirm. So please, if you have question, let's ask question. This class is it's too silent. So so that people that are sleeping already, they will wake up. So please let's change ourselves. Okay. Okay, so let's try to add this remote to canvas now. Let me see. So let's go back to our model view. Okay, let me check now. Okay, I can see what I'm looking for now. So this new measure is not activated before. So that's what I'm looking for, because I need it to create measures. So I need it to create measures. So that's what I'm trying to get it here. Okay, so now let's create our model. Let's create our model. So let's create our model. We are almost done. We're almost done. So let's create our model. So to create your model, you can just do your drag and drop. Do your drag and drop. So you need to confirm this cardinality. It is one to many. So you need to confirm the cardinality. Save, yes. So customer table is here. So let's create relationship between the customer. Don't bother about the modeling, or because we didn't really focus on the data cleaning part of it, and so we didn't really focus on the documenting part. So we just, because if you have to document, if you have to do the data cleaning, like I think someone said we'll spend 10 hours here, so we'll definitely spend the 10 hours. So we just focus on the solution for now. Maybe we can look at the data cleaning another time. So category is to the product table. One table is still missing here. Okay, set to canvas. Why am I not saying the okay, the product table. Okay, so let's create the category table and product table. So that is one to many. Okay, then this is correct. So let's save this. Okay, so this is how our model look like at the moment. I need to create connection between order ID and the okay, I think it's one to many here. Okay, so this is how our model look like. Yeah, this is how our model look like. Yeah, so depending on the business, different business with their different models. All right, so our focus is not on modeling today anyway, so we'll talk about modeling some other time, I believe. So we have created our model. Now let's try to create measures. Let's create some measures that we can that we can use in our in our analysis and all. So let's see. So let's create some measure. So to create measure, so you can pick any table, right? You can pick any table, then click on new measure. New measure. So let's see. So let's create total order. So let's say total orders. So total order equals to, we just create like few measures. We're not doing much calculation here. So let's say count rows. So count rows. So we just count the rows of our facts orders table. So create this. So let's create total sales. New measure. So let's say total sales. We just create like two measures more, then we'll move on. So total sales. So let's say sum X order table. Then we look for the sales amount multiplied by the quantity. So because we're trying to look for the sales amount. So okay. So let's look for the average sales order as well. So let's look for average order sales or total quantity sold. Total quantity sold. So let's just create another total quantity sold. So that would be So that will be sum of quantity okay. Okay, so let's just work because of time so that we can entertain questions. Let's just work with these three measures that we created. So now you can format your measures. So for example, now the total sales that we maybe you want to format it to maybe you want to format it to currency, right? You want to change it to currency, you can change the currency. You can change the currency, maybe you want it to be in Chinese or British, you can change the currency that you want, you can also do some other things here like that. Okay, so because of time, let's just try to create a simple report, then so that we can entertain questions because it's almost the time is fast spent already. Okay, so let's go to, so once you are done creating your measures and all, you are done with all this, your modeling and all. So now let's go to reporting. So click on the reporting, then click on new report. So click on new report. When you click on new report, it will take you back to your Power BI, to the Power BI interface, right? So now let's see, you can create visual. So most of the time, for me personally, I like to develop within the Power BI environment, the Power BI desktop. So you can also connect your data lake or your one lake. You can connect it to Power BI desktop. So you can connect your one lake to Power BI desktop. Then when you are done, you can now publish your work. You can publish your work back here. So you can see the measures that we created. So we won't be doing much fancy dashboard anyway. So we'll just do a very little dashboard and call it a day. So total sales. So you can see the Naira sign, the currency sign that I use. So let's just do one more or two more. So because of time, let's do products by let's say quantity. So product by quantity, can also do this as well. So basically, we are, like I said, we are not doing much. I just want to show that you can build your report. If you want to proceed with the project, you can proceed with the project. So let's say category name by total quantity. So you can do top 4 here because I don't like seeing. You can filter this by maybe top 4 or top 3, and do by total sales. So let's apply. Okay, so you can modify your report. When you are done, you save your work. Click on file. Let's save as. So you can save it into our same. So let's call it WWI reports. So we save the report, then we click on save. So you can modify your report. Don't mind my own. It's because of time. We won't be able to do much more than this. So I think we have come to the end of our section. So it is now time for question and answer. Let's hear from us all. So I believe you have enjoyed. So this is all the these are all the objects that we are able to create: the new semantic model, your product customer, which is your data flow gen 2, your lakehouse, your semantic model, which is your default semantic model, SQL analytical endpoint, data pipeline, reports, and I think we made a mistake. We created like two so I might need to just look at the one that is feeding this report. So the one that is feeding the report is the one that we will maintain. We can just delete the other one that is not feeding the report. So we are done for today, and I hope you really enjoyed this section. If you have any question, please let's ask question.
Oh, thank you very much. Thank you very much. We have 2 hands raised already. So let's take Jane Kamara first. Jane Kamara, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much for this insightful presentation. Okay, my question is, I wanted to know at what point, if we need to do data cleaning, is it when the data has been loaded to the lakehouse? Because I noticed when you move to the SQL analytics section, you mentioned that we can't really do any data manipulation on SQL there. So in case we wanted to do data cleaning now, at what point can we do it?
Okay, so yeah, that's a nice question. So there are several points where you can do your data cleaning. One of them is from the data flow gen tool. So in your Power Query, you can say when I loaded the data through Power Query, you can actually do data cleaning within the Power Query before you load it into the lakehouse. Another thing is that shortcut. Before you connect to your shortcut, the shortcut is a warehouse on its own, right? You can do your data cleaning within the shortcut, within the database in the shortcut before you even decide to bring it inside the fabric, right? Another thing is that on SSMS, because we connected through SSMS, you can have done your data cleaning here before you connect the data to SSMS as well, right? And the Excel file that we use as well. Well, for Excel, you can still use Power Query to do the data cleaning. So you can within the fabric as well, within the file section, even if after you loaded the data using let me see if I can quickly show you that lakehouse. Okay, so let me show you something here. Oh, the file is okay, so now let's assume that this data that we have in our file session is not a structured data. I told you that it's only structured data we can load into the table section. Now let's assume that the data is not a structured data. Now you want to clean the data. How do you clean it? You can open your notebook. See, there's a notebook here. You can open a notebook, right? You can open a notebook, then you will use your notebook to transform the data into what? Into a structure file. So if you know how to write PySpark, if you know how to write Python, you know how to use others, especially Python or PySpark for people that know advanced analytics. So you mostly use this to clean your data before you load the data into the lakehouse, into the table section of the lakehouse. I hope I'm clear. Is that clear?
Yes, that's very clear.
All right.
So does it also still apply to maybe streaming data that you go through stream?
Yes. You can. It also apply to streaming data as well. You can make use of you can clean those. I've not used streaming data before. I've not done that before. Maybe in the next period that I will want to try it out, I will definitely use the streaming data. But I know that you can also clean it before you move into the file session as well.
Okay. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah, thanks for that. Mr. Samuel, you have the floor.
All right, good evening. Thank you very much, Mr. Folorenshaw. I really learned a lot today. I think I came in a bit late. Probably you might have talked about it. So I wanted to ask on how to get this, temporary access to Fabric. I think I used to have access to it before my phone was stolen and all, so I could not do two-step authentication, and since then I've been trying to create, but I've always been having this issue of no more sandbox and all of that. So is there a way one can get access to Fabric now without sandbox or something?
Well, I think the the only solution now is that if you are working in an environment, maybe in an organization that they can give you like a license, a free license. Because I think I remember yesterday I need to do some work in my organization and I need to publish the work. So when I try to publish the work on Power BI service, Fabric, Microsoft forced me to activate the free license. So maybe if you are working in an organization, you can try to use the organization account to do that. But I think someone mentioned to me that there is a way you can also do a free trial. But because I have an account, I've not used other means before. If I get the solution, probably through data elite, they can get across to you. So maybe if I have any solution, or if anybody on this call, because we have gurus here as well. So if you have solution on how to activate Microsoft Fabric trial, you can share with us here.
Thanks so much, Mr. Folorenshaw. Do we still have any other person that asked question? I think Mr. Shedrack was trying to talk the right time. Mr. Shedrack, do you have any question? Okay, in the absence of none, Irimide, you have the floor.
All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you so much, Folorenshaw, for that amazing presentation. It was really interesting. I was thinking that we'll do Microsoft Fabric video. Maybe something we need to look forward to, because it's actually interesting. There's a whole lot to unpack, from data cleaning to getting data from different sources, to the modeling, to the SQL part, to the PySpark part where you talked about, to taking this data into the Power BI development area, to bringing it back to the service workspace. Like, there's just a whole lot to crack, right? And you all will agree with me that we all can do this right on the score, right? So Microsoft Fabric class is starting on Sunday. It's a 6 weeks course, and then we are starting on Sunday. So I really want to see every one of you. I'll send you information via your email for those that have registered. And also, this session is also recorded, so you get the email by tomorrow regarding the recording, and also details about the course starting on Sunday, because I really want to see all of you in the Fabric class. Fabric is something that recruiters are now beginning to ask about. They say, oh, do you know about Fabric? Because it's something they are likely to move to in the future, and it will be nice for them to have employees who are already skilled in that tool, right? So that when they are ready to move to Microsoft Fabric, it is easier for them, and they're not trying to now look for people that are skilled, or people now trying to upskill at the last minute. They're also trying to prepare for the future of their organization. So this course is something that you should be a part of, and the course is for 50,000 naira for 6 weeks, and it's going to be intensive. We'll be digging deep into everything that Folorenshaw has taken us through tonight for 6 weeks, right? And also, for those who will be joining our classes, we'll be assigning you the Microsoft Fabric license. Yeah. If you're not joining our classes, don't come to my DM and come and be asking me for license. So it's only for our students, so that we can manage, those who will be using the license and ensure that it is used properly. So we have to limit it to the students only. I'm so sorry. I wish I can give it out to everyone, but we can't, right? So we have to limit it to those who will be taking the course. So yeah, we'll be assigning you the license for you to practice, test, and develop your own solution with Microsoft Fabric. Having said all of that, you see me next in your email by tomorrow morning, giving you more information about the Microsoft Fabric course, and also the recording of this session. Thank you very much, everyone, for staying with us up until this time. This is bedtime in Nigeria, and I really appreciate all of you that are still on the call. You guys are the real MVPs. I really celebrate you. Thank you so much for being a part of Data Analytics Elite. Mr. Folorenshaw, thank you so much for spending your experience, skill, with us tonight. It's a whole lot, and we do not take this for granted. And we hope that when next we call on you, you also be able to respond to us. It's been an interesting session for me, and to be fair and to be okay, let me off my mic. Let me off the recording first before I say my mind, right? To be fair, this is my first time learning about fabric. This is my first time.